All right. Yo, 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 what is good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay, the godfather of gaming, the ageless wonder, coming back at you with yet another edition of Live from Wakanda as we are live from Wakanda. You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon. The rest will take care of itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Blue, what is up? You are first. So I want to thank everyone who took a look at the Five Nights at Freddy's VR stream featuring my son. And I did get a cameo in there and got the shit scared out of me and took the headset off. I also want to thank everybody who tuned into the Blood and Truth live stream as I finished that. And I was determined to finish that game. That was one game where I was not going to waste my money. I was definitely going to finish that game. Um, Not only did I finish that game, I plan to play it again so I can try to take a crack at getting a platinum trophy because I do not have a platinum trophy. I've never really tried to go after a platinum trophy, but if I'm going to try to go after a platinum trophy, this would be the game to do it because it was a very good game. Action packed, very immersive, and a good story. And the way the game ended, the tone has been set for another chapter. Which, if that be the case, I hope they are working on it right now as we speak, so we don't end up having to wait 3, 4, 5 years for it. I hope they are. If they're working on the next chapter of that game, I hope they're doing it right now. H player, what is up? What is going on? And yesterday, I had my podcast yesterday, and I only touched on a couple of subjects because there's been so much news over the past week, and I mean a lot of news. And for today, live from Wakanda, most of it is VR based. So if VR is not your thing, you may not care for this stream. But most of the news that I got is VR related because the stuff outside of VR, I talked about it yesterday with the Call of Duty crossplay and what kind of toxic atmosphere I think that could produce, as well as how I felt about the media misleading people about the next generation PlayStation VR, which I thought was irresponsible and reckless. And I think I touched on a couple of other things, but I'm pretty much ready to get into it here. And I think one of the things that I want to talk about for VR, I'm actually going to show you guys a trailer, but doing it from the Google Hangouts, there probably won't be any sound. Give me a second, folks. I got to go grab my charger before this phone dies. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I'm back. Sorry about that. needed to get the charger for my phone, and while I was up, I decided to go ahead and grab a drink of my ever so popular ginger ale and guava juice. And now that I've gotten Blood and Truth out of the way, um, I plan to go back and do some Everybody's Golf streams because that is a really fun game. And then, as usual, I'll probably close my night out with PokerStars VR. So I think we've been on long enough that notifications should have went out. So those who want to be here will come. So let's go all the way back. Here we go. Phantom. This is a Phantom Covert Ops. It looks like Splinter Cell for the Oculus. And I will show you guys that. So give me a second here. Give me a second to share my screen. It probably won't have any sound, but I'll still show it to you anyway. Let's blow this up and replay it. So as you can see, you're in this kayak, and with this being an Oculus Studios, it's probably going to be an Oculus exclusive. And that's that. I mean, I could have found a longer video, but Impatient Fire, what is up? Gamer Tag, what's up? That Phantom Ops, that Phantom Coverts, no notifications today. As in, not exactly. Oh, okay. You know what, Gamer Tag, if you subscribe to my channel, you probably want to go back to my page and make sure you got the bell icon. Make sure you hit the bell icon. Maybe that's why you didn't get a notification. But YouTube gets funny from what I'm hearing. I mean, some of the people that I subscribe to, by the time I tune in, they're already well into their podcast. So you might want to double check and just make sure the bell icon is hit. So, but what is good? Okay, you should be good moving forward. So yeah, that Phantom Covert Ops looks interesting. I don't know if it's a game where you're always in that kayak, but it still looks interesting. But it's definitely something that I'm going to pick up. So also, Pavlov is coming to the Oculus Quest, and that is very important news to me because Pavlov is one of the games that plays a part in my decision to whether or not get an Oculus Quest, because I'm really trying to weigh the pros and cons of the Oculus Quest. And from what I'm seeing, like through videos that I've seen from people like Tyrell Wood, and I think even you did a side-by-side video, Gamer Tag, if I'm not mistaken. But I've seen some side-by-side videos of the Quest and the Rift, like Robo Recall, for instance. On the Rift, naturally, was more. I got an unreleased game on my Quest. It's a great game, though. See that game right there. See what the limit with that situation is I think eventually my son's going to ask me for an Oculus, and I want to get him the Quest because I don't want to spend the extra money for a PC to build a PC. But I don't want I don't want the watered down graphics and details and stuff like that to lessen his experience either. So games like Pavlov, one of the things that I've noticed, the Quest is Savage. You know what? I'm going to get to that. You know what else is funny that you mentioned that gamer tag. I think that I'm beginning to think that Quest owners are starting to form like their own like elite community. Sarah's is great. What's up? If anybody is on PC with a headset, then you probably know about the Big Screen VR app, which I think is a pretty cool app. It's a social app. Bismarck, Ian, what's up? Christopher Hart, what's up? It is a social app where you go into these settings. One's a movie theater, another one's a campfire. And so we'll just, just to make my point, I'll stick with the movie theater setting. You can go into a movie theater, and whoever the host of that room is, you are watching what he chooses to show, as if you're sitting in a movie theater watching it on like a big 80-foot screen. And so one room I went into, someone was playing Avengers Infinity War, but it didn't have any sound. Another person was showing E.T., but I saw that movie 1,000 times. And then the next time I went on to the Big Screen VR app, I went into a room that said Oculus Quest. And I went in there, and it was about 8 people in that room, like sitting on at the top of a penthouse or something. And out of the 8 people in there, 6 of them were Quest owners. And you can see how buddied up they were and the conversations they were having, how amazed they were with the Oculus Quest. And it almost felt like Rift people were outsiders. And obviously, the Oculus Quest is doing pretty good. And I'm just starting to get that vibe that, Quest people are kind of like forming their own community, and I'm not thinking of doing the Transformers, the movie in big screen next week. Well, okay. If you the original animated movie, I've never seen that. I've never seen that either, gamer tag. So if you do this at an hour that I can make it, I will be there to watch it. Because I think that Big Screen TV app is a pretty cool app. Whoever the host is, they can show movies, they can stream whatever games they're playing. They can make it a chat room where people just come in and chat, music videos, whatever they want to show. It's actually a cool app. Maybe the next time I go into the Big Screen VR app, maybe I'll stream it just so you guys can see what it looks like. So Transformers animated movie. Yeah. With that being said, Christopher Hart, I would say, send Gamertag VR a friend request through Oculus. Are you Gamertag? This when you show the Transformers on the Big Screen VR, are you going to do it through Steam, or are you going to do it through Oculus? Because I know I'm friends with you on both formats, but I'm asking this on behalf of Christopher Hart. That would probably be the easiest route to go. Okay, dudes, I'll sort it out on my Discord. Pretty sure you need a PC to stream the movie. Okay. You know what? If you would, Gamertag, if you could send me a link to your Discord, privately through Twitter, I will definitely make sure I sign up to your Discord. So when you do that, I can get the alert. Okay, Christopher Hart, you can hook your PSVR up to PC. Cool. All right, let's see. Let's move on to the next bit of news. Let's see. Sick Humor just went live. Appreciate that, gamer tag. And I did mention that Pavlov is coming to the Oculus Quest. Oh, what I didn't get a chance to finish was to talk about the details. I've seen the Quest version of it. It's an alpha build though, so it's not completed. But the one thing that there was a couple of things that really stood out with the Oculus Quest version of Pavlov, and that is that the gun sounds weren't together. It sounded like pellet guns. And the biggest thing that stood out to me is when you shoot somebody on the Rift version or on the PC version of Pavlov, when you shoot somebody, blood comes squirting out of the body. It's like red bubbles and stuff. And I think you can blow somebody's head off. Um, but in the Quest version of that, you can't.
You can't blow people's head off, but blood would just squirt out their head.
Okay, but the big thing that stood out to me to the Quest version was there was no blood. When you shoot someone, the body drops to the ground, and that's it. So I don't know, I don't know how much of a difference that's gonna. That's the one thing. It's petty, but it did stand out. Thomas Hand, what's up? So I guess I'll wait until the final build is done for Pavlov on the Oculus Quest. So moving on to the next bit of news. Most of this stuff is already stuff you guys probably know about. You hardcore VR people probably already know about most of this news because this is all build up. This is all stuff that I've, just collected bits and pieces over the last week and a half. So next bit of news, the new Beat Saber music pack comes out June 10th. I will purchase this music pack on the PlayStation version of Beat Saber, so I can have some, just so I can build up the library, but I will not buy it for the Oculus. There's no reason to buy it when I can put custom songs in there. So I'm not restricted to whatever they give me. I can pretty much put what I want as long as this there. I think I've asked you this before, Christopher Hart. When you use your PlayStation VR headset on PC, how is the clarity? How much blur do you get in the background? Is it still the same, or is the picture a little bit cleaner because your PC probably has a lot more power than the PlayStation or the PlayStation Pro? So answer that question for me again if you would. So yeah, I will purchase this music pack for the PSVR June 10th. I'm hoping it's not any more than $10. And I hope they got some good songs on there. When it comes out, I will stream it because I haven't used no God rays on PSVR will be a huge benefit. Okay, you said the picture is a bit clearer. Yeah, I see that now, gamer tag about the God rays, because of the God rays on the standard Oculus Rift, especially like Poker Stars VR. When you go into that loading screen and you got that black background with the Poker Stars VR logo, the God rays are pretty bad. Let me see. I think it's cleaner because the PC is more powerful. It depends on your PC specs. The more juice in my PC makes it sharper than my PS4 Pro. Okay, cool. And Gamertag is saying no God rays on PSVR will be a huge benefit. So, I'm making it. That's something to think about right there. But most of the games, the God rays are reduced once the game actually starts. So whatever's there, I guess I can get past it. God rays are really bad during loading screens. And so next bit of news, Blood and Truth to get free DLC, but it's not the kind of DLC that you would immediately think where it's an extended another chapter of the game that's been added on. No, it's just stuff like a leaderboard, a hard mode, and a couple other modes. Does anyone have a good guide to using PSVR on PC? Right here in this chat, I think Christopher Hart, Impatient Fire, or Gamertag VR are three people you could talk to in this chat. If you want to find a way to get in contact with them, even if they want to talk to you through this stream. But if it sounds like something that's a very timely process, then you might want to talk to them, off of this stream. But those are the three people that I would talk to if you want to use your PSVR on your PC. So that's what we got right there. Blood and Truth is getting a new, is getting a DLC, leaderboard, hard mode, all that good stuff. So that's that on that bit of news. Download Trinus PSVR on your PC to use Steam VR with PSVR. Okay. You know what? Let me go check something real quick.
Someone say that they could plug a PlayStation VR to a PC. Someone say that? Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. I actually wanted to take a quick look at the PlayStation VR, the two plugs at the end of the cord. We have it. So this question is to you, Christopher Hart, or Impatient Fire, or anyone who wants to answer this question. At the end of the cord for the PlayStation VR headset, you have two plugs. You have an HDMI plug, and you have another plug that looks similar to an HDMI plug, but it has white plastic inside the metal casing. So my question is what plug is that? Is that plug that I'm talking about, that second plug? Because it doesn't look like an HDMI plug, and it doesn't look like a DisplayPort plug. So how exactly do you go about physically plugging the PSVR into the headset? Or do you still need the processor box when you plug it into the PC? Because I guess I was thinking about plugging the headset directly into the PC, but I guess I need to ask that question too. There's a video guide on YouTube. Okay, cool. I will check that out then later on today. Still need the processor box? Okay. Okay, then that shouldn't be a problem then, because if you still need the processor box, the output cords on the processor box you have an HDMI cord, I believe, and I think you have a USB cord. Just a second. Okay, so I'll definitely take a look into that. So let's move on to the next bit of news. And that is the Space Junkies content is live. I think earlier this week there was an update for Space Junkies, and I think it included 2 maps, a couple of more modes. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I will. But it's like once I started playing Blood and Truth, that was a wrap. Hold on a second, folks. Okay, yeah, this was either earlier this week or sometime last week. Space Junkies did get updated. They added a couple of maps, and they added like I said, I think they added a couple of modes. I think they added like I don't know, might be like a King of the Hill mode or something like that. I can't remember, but I will say this again that Ubisoft created an unnecessary problem because um, I did pop into Space Junkies for a couple of seconds, and I did it from my PlayStation. It doesn't matter where you, being that this game is crossplay, it doesn't matter what device you sign in on. You know, PSVR, Oculus, or Vive, it doesn't really matter. My point being is that when I went into Space Junkies, it was empty again. I mean, Ubisoft needs to stop screwing around and knock this game down to a permanent price of 20 bucks. Stop trying to be so goddamn greedy. You know, said Blood and Truth is getting more gameplay with harder levels. I know they're adding harder levels to it, and I know they're adding leaderboards to it. So, I mean, what happens with Space Junkies, Christopher Hart, is eventually you'll find a match. Because even if you're just floating around in the lobby, you'll get a notification that a match is available, and they'll ask you if you want to join it. So they already knew that you know they already put in a fail safe for when that shit get empty. But they caused an unnecessary problem making that game $40. And so, next bit of news, and this comes from Polish Paul. I seen his video and he said Borderlands 2 to receive free DLC during E3. What I don't know is if this free DLC includes the VR version of Borderlands. Now that is becoming like widespread news that this free DLC during E3 is to kind of, get everybody ready for Borderlands 3. So when this DLC comes out, I don't know if that includes the VR. Much as I'd like to get back to playing that game on the PlayStation VR, I'm just not into it. And I've never really played a Borderlands game before. And when I played that, I couldn't get into it. So be on the lookout during E3 for this Borderlands 2 DLC. If the DLC includes, if VR is included in this DLC, and it's something that I can play separately and don't have to get through the entire game to get to it, then maybe I'll stream it. Yeah, Borderlands is definitely much better with the aim controller. I did try it with the aim controller, but I guess the biggest thing that turned me off about Borderlands 2 is that Claptrap, whatever that robot name is just with that hyper ass voice. It said J Ray Games is the channel with Trina's VR tutorial video. Okay. Here, let me do a copy and paste. And then put it in. Okay, how to play Beat Saber with PS Move. Whoa, he's got some interesting shit here. It says how to play Beat Saber with PS Move on PSVR PC. Said install your PSVR to PC step by step. How to set up any controller on PSVR, PC, PS Move, DualShock, all that good stuff, VR gameplay. Here, let me go ahead and subscribe to this guy. Because it looks like he's got a lot of tutorials there. Yeah, just you know what? Did anybody used to watch the old Thundercats cartoon about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe? The original Thundercats cartoon Snarf was irritating to me. When that show first came on, Snarf reminds me, Claptrap reminds me of Snarf. But as time went on, Snarf ended up being one of the wise ones. He wasn't that, funny ass comic relief dog that was there. He actually ended up being one of the wisest of the Thundercats, and at times gave Lion-O advice. I don't see that in this Claptrap guy. He's annoying. And I don't know. I guess I can be petty like that. That sometimes a character might be enough. My dislike for a character might be enough for me not to play a game. I probably won't play Gears 5. One of the big reasons why I don't like Kate. I don't like her or her mother in that game. I said Sam and Max are funny. Maybe they should add a mute Claptrap mode. You ain't bullshitting about that. So what else we got? What's the next bit of news? And that is that the 64 gig Oculus Quest sold out. And that ain't no bullshit. Did Borderlands 2 VR get an update to allow PS Move controllers? Yeah, that was one of the first updates they got, Lunkin. I think that update came out like a couple of weeks after the game released. And then sometime after that, it got another update to allow use of the aim controller. Said Bugsby is the most annoying video game character of all time. I don't know who that is, but if it's part of that Borderlands, game, I'm sure I'll run into him sooner or later. Oculus Quest, yes, it's sold out, and I've seen I've seen several videos of people talking about the Oculus Quest being sold out, and so I went to several sites. I went to Amazon. I've gone to Best Buy, Newegg, Walmart. They're all sold out. That none of them, like Walmart and Best Buy, they don't have any in stock. You can still order it, but they don't have any in stock. Now I think Amazon, I think they still had the 128 gig Quest. They still had a couple of those, but the 64 gig, nope, they sold out everywhere. And that's a good thing, and Christopher Hart, you made a good point right there. You said Oculus Quest sold out, with question marks. And some people think VR is still niche. No, it continues to grow. And excuse me. And I think a couple of weeks ago on one of my podcasts, I mentioned that that a Walking Dead VR game is coming this year. And one of the other tidbits of news proves that VR is still growing. That I think now what we're starting to do is I think what we're starting to see now is a lot of more people are starting to dip their toes into VR. I think there are people out there who are not going to dive all the way into VR, but they're making some kind of content to put out there and just see what happens. So I think that's where you're getting a lot of these experiences from. So, but one of my other bits of news will further make that point. God, Porter Rock just went live. So in my next bit of news, I kind of already said that the Pavlov alphabet for Oculus Quest still needs work. I've said that before, that when you shoot someone, there's no blood coming out of the body, and then the sound effects for the guns weren't quite together yet. They didn't sound like real guns. They sounded like pellet guns. But it is an alpha build, so I can't judge it based on that. I'll have to wait until the final build is done and go back and revisit it and see what happens. So the other note that that I took, next bit of news, I'll just read it and move past it because I had talked about it in depth yesterday, and that was the Call of Duty has a new engine, no season pass, and cross-play between PC and consoles. And and I gave my thoughts on that yesterday, so I'll move past that. The next bit of news is actually some good news, and that is the if anyone remembers the Alvo game, and actually I'm going to pull this game up. Let me pull this up for to refresh you guys. Um, okay, so we'll go with the teaser trailer. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and give everybody a refresher for Alvo. So even though it says PlayStation VR down at the bottom of the screen, this game was going to be crossplay between the three major headsets. And you see right there, it said 2018. Oh, I'm sorry, Lunkin. Yes, a Walking Dead, VR game is coming, and so that's not the only bit of news I got about other shit that's coming up. Something else is coming that will probably get you guys' attention too. But on this situation with Alvo, um, this is a game that originally was supposed to be crossplay between um, PlayStation VR, Oculus, and Vive, and this game was showcased at E3 at Sony's E3 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a game that I was definitely looking forward to. This was also a game where the developers were keeping in touch with PSVR Frank to get his input, because PSVR Frank was reaching out to the community and was like, what would you like to see in this game? How much would you be willing to play? What do you want in terms of two versus two, three versus three, that kind of stuff. So PSVR Frank was in touch with the developers of that game. And it was reported by, Polish Paul, at least that's where I saw that a couple of months ago, that the game had been canceled because the investors pulled out. They found new investors, and so it's back on. The game is still slated to release this year, sometime this year, 2019. So that is great news. My only question about it is the game still going to be crossplay? And if the game is going to be crossplay, what are they going to do to account for the PlayStation version of this game? Because some of these games, snipers don't work. In terms of the scope, when you pull a sniper rifle up and look through the scope, some of them don't work. I mean, and for those who were watching my Blood and Truth streams, if you noticed when I used any guns with a scope on it, when I looked through the scope, whatever I was looking at was not magnified. All you saw was a reticle through the scope. So that made it hard to kind of, to get a bullseye shot. So, but I do know scopes work on PC. You said the thing that's holding me back from buying an S is games. You talking about the Oculus Rift S? Because if you refer to the Oculus Rift S, shit, between the Oculus Store and between Steam, there's going to be a shitload of VR games there. Bottom line is, it doesn't matter what your headset is, whether it's Vive or whether it's Oculus. You have a shit ton of games there between their exclusives and Steam. But yeah, again, I am curious to see how this situation is going to work out with the PlayStation version of Alvo when you try to use a long-range rifle. When you try to use a sniper rifle. I'm wondering if the scope is going to work as it's supposed to. Scopes do work on PC VR games. Games like Zero Caliber. The scope works. You look through the scope, and whatever you're looking at is magnified, so it does help you to get a headshot. It's just a matter of you having a steady hand. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case on the PlayStation version of this game, but we will have to wait and see. With that being said, when this game comes out, as much as I would like to get it on the PlayStation VR for that one thing that I'm speaking of right there, I will probably end up getting it on the Oculus. So, moving on to the next bit of news. Now, this next bit of news, I have been saying this for a while, and I was absolutely shocked. So let me go ahead and say what the news was, and that is that Super Smash Bros. Is finally, is getting VR support. Is getting Labo VR support. I've said that for a while because when I first heard that the Labo VR was coming to the Nintendo Switch, I had seen a video or read an article. I can't remember, but Super Smash Brothers was supposed to be one of the games that was going to be supported on the Labo VR. So I was shocked when Spawnwave reported that the Labo VR support for Super Smash Brothers is live. He acted like he never knew the shit was coming. And I'm like, I'm led to believe, I thought even though he reports news, I'm led to believe that he was supposed to be a Nintendo guy because he's constantly reporting Nintendo shit. So for him to make a video and act like he was surprised that Super Smash Bros. Was getting VR support, I was like, huh? You're supposed to be a Nintendo dude. So how is it that you acting like you was totally unaware? Yeah, Christopher Hart, Super Smash Brothers was the reason for me being interested in getting a Labo VR because I was interested in getting it for Super Smash Brothers. But when they talked about how terrible the experience was on Zelda Breath of the Wild, it kind of turned me off and backed me off of it. They did say that, I think they said that Mario Odyssey was a little bit better, but not much better. But according to Spawnwave, he said that the VR experience for Super Smash Brothers is not bad. He said it was surprisingly good. So that might put me back in a situation where I could possibly visit that. I could possibly revisit that. My son does have a Nintendo Switch and he does have Super Smash Bros. So I'm curious again. So, right now it's just like it's up in the air. Because I got a lot of things on my wish list right now. And let me see here. Yeah, I'm just about out. I'm just about out of topics. So we'll probably be done here in about 15 minutes. But by then we'll have been on about an hour. So at the end of the day, that's what I was looking to do, was to be on here for about an hour. So let's see here. Next bit of news. I went to the Metacritic, and Blood and Truth has gotten a Metacritic score of 80 and a user score of 8.5, which is pretty good. At the end of the day, fuck Metacritic. But after what they try to do with Days Gone, but hey, it's still good to know that that Blood and Truth is doing pretty good. And because I've seen a good number of Blood and Truth streams, and everybody that talks about Blood and Truth has a lot of good things to say about it. They recognize that this is a high budget VR game, and I just finished it a little while ago, and that scene where you climbed on to the jet that was getting ready to take off, that was incredible. Never seen, never done anything like that in VR. And if you were a person that like watched the Die Hard movies and shit like that and wondered what it was like to climb onto a jet as it's taking off, that's it for you. That's your experience. So say something like that without a Blood and Truth and Trover Saves the Universe are both scored high. First time I've seen two VR games get high score on PSVR back to back. Now, Trover Saves the Universe is coming to PC VR, but I think it's coming like in another day or so, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's supposed to release, I want to say June 4th, but I'm not quite certain. But I do know that it's coming to PC. But I will ask you, Christopher Hart, if you have played, Trover Saves the Universe, because it didn't look like my type of game. Devastator, what's up? GT Sport update this week. You know what, Devastator, I'm glad you're in this chat because I have been wanting to tell you that I do apologize for not getting to a GT Sport stream, but I do want to forewarn you that when I do get to it, it's going to be VR because I just don't really play flat screen games anymore. And when you have a situation where you play a game in VR and you're able to turn your head and look everywhere and see everything and be able to prepare yourself for a corner, in my opinion, racing is like chess. And you guys are going to think that I'm crazy for making that comparison. But when you're playing chess, you have to think 2-3 moves ahead. Racing is the same way that you have to think 2-3 curves ahead. You can't really look at where you're at right now. You have to look down the road and see those corners and decide how you are going to approach those corners. And VR gives you that ability. When you play on flat screen, you can only look straight ahead. And the only way, the best way to prepare for a track when you're playing a game flat screen is to practice that track over and over and over again, so you almost know that corner is coming with your eyes closed. So with that being said, almost racing games, I just don't want to screw around with them unless I'm doing them in VR. So with that being said, I will do another GT Sport stream, but it's going to be in VR, even if there's nothing on the track. The other option that I could do is to record like Project Cars 2. I can record one of those races and upload it as a video because on the PC, some of these games, it's just not there yet. It's just not there to be able to run a VR multiplayer race and stream it at the same time. It's just not there yet. And so now I understand what the developers were talking about in GT Sport, why there was no multiplayer and why you're not racing against a full grid. I was able to do that too. Devastator, you said my friend was able to use his VR headset for online racing. I was able to do that with a set of Corsa Competition. I was able to run a VR race multiplayer with my Oculus headset on, but I was not able to stream it at the same time because my computer just doesn't have enough power to handle all that. So some of the bigger YouTubers like Jimmy Broadbent and like Sim Racing 604 or whatever, those guys, yes, I've seen them do races in VR, but a lot of times those races were against the AI. And none of those races were live. None of those races were live streamed. What's up, Jay Swolls? What's good with you? It's mostly VR talk, the stuff that's been going on over the past week. So what I'm trying to say, Devastator, is that if you want me to do a live stream of GT Sport, it's going to be in VR because I really enjoy doing it in VR. I can do one-on-one against the computer, but it's not hard to beat the computer because they set the shit on dummy. They need to give you an option to make the computer more competitive, because in Project Cars, you can do that. You can set how aggressive you want the AI to be in Project Cars. So I can go those two routes. I can do a live stream on the PlayStation VR of GT Sport, or I can record a video on Project Cars 2 and upload it. He said GeForce Experience has been updated for the Oculus, for the Rift S in the last couple of days. Yeah, the GeForce Experience had become unreliable, and that's what forced me to have to go over to the Streamlabs OBS, because I got tired of starting these streams, and then I'm sitting here streaming. I'm online for about an hour playing PokerStars VR, and then when I go back to check the stream, it turns out that the stream ended like 40 minutes ago. So Streamlabs, not Streamlabs, but the GeForce Experience has become unreliable. Streamlabs is shit. Hasn't let me down yet. So that's where we're sitting at on that, Devastator. I can go those two routes if you want me to do a live stream. Again, it'll be in VR. I can do a time trial where I can try to beat one of my personal records, or I can putt around and go against the AI. Or again, I can record it on Project Cars too. So, but whatever I do, it's got to be in VR, because I just don't think flat screen, just racing in VR is just so much better. It is. So the next bit of news, damn, we're closing in on an hour. Next bit of news, Onward. I was meeting the drivers. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, if see here, if the GeForce Experience has been updated in the last yeah, then that means I probably better go back to the GeForce site and update those drivers so I don't have any hiccups. So thanks for the tidbit on that. I will definitely check that out. Right now, my son's on the computer playing Five Nights at Freddy's again. That's all he's been playing since he's been here. He hasn't touched anything else. So, hey, he's better than me. I chickened out earlier. As I mentioned, my son was playing Five Nights at Freddy's. I was streaming it. I had a camera on him in the corner. When he decided to take a break, my original plan was to come in there and just shut the stream down, but I decided to go ahead and give it a try because I thought, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. I did it, and I saw something at the door, and that thing looked like it was about 8 feet tall, and I quick hit the button to close the door and was like, fuck that, and took the headset off. Horror games are the one area where virtual reality is too real. You can play a virtual reality game and you could talk about PS2 looking graphics. You could talk about a cartoonish style artwork, but when a 8-foot monster jumps in your face, that shit is just too real. Jay Swoles, my son, is absolutely loving it. So it's obvious on as far as VR goes, his two favorite games on the Oculus is Pavlov and Five Nights at Freddy's. And when I told him that Five Nights at Freddy's was coming to VR, he asked me to get it on the Oculus because he likes the Oculus. He thinks it's more comfortable than the PlayStation VR. When the general public thinks that the PlayStation VR is more comfortable. But yeah, he's enjoying it. Thanks for asking. So what do we got next? Oh, who was I telling that? Right there, Lunkin. This bit of news is for you, if you're still watching. No, wait a minute. Not this one, the next one. The next one. It's after this one. Let me see. Onwards. That is another VR first-person shooter game that has a lot of similarities to Contractors. This is getting a VR gun stock for the Oculus Rift and mixed reality headset. This is a update with the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift, and other mixed reality headsets like the Samsung Odyssey, the HP Reverb. These mixed reality headsets. When you play these first-person shooter games, and you bring the gun up to your face, if you bring the gun too close, these headsets will lose tracking. So what this gun stock update does, basically what it does, it's almost like the hand is closest to the headset. The update locks that hand in place, and you basically move the gun with the front hand, the hand that the headset can still see. But when you bring a gun up to your face, the hand is closest to your face. That's the hand that the headset loses track of because it's too close that the cameras can't pick it up. So I guess what this update will do, that hand is closest to the face, it will lock it in place, and the cameras will focus on the hand that's further away from the headset, the hand that the cameras can see, and that's how you will move. That's how you will move the gun. So the hand that's locked in place sounds to me like it's almost going to act like a pivot, and that's where you're going to be able to swing the gun around from that hand, and then the front hand is the hand that you're going to, move the gun around with and aim it. So, sounds like a little bit of a band-aid, but hey, it's cool because that's definitely one of the big things I was concerned about as far as the Oculus Rift S. I've already come to the conclusion that if I get an Oculus Rift S, that I won't be getting it for first-person shooter games. I'll more or less be getting it for racing games because the more in the background that I can see, the better I'll be prepared for corners that are coming up. So now this bit of news is for you, Lunkin. Game of Thrones VR experience is coming exclusively to Viveport Infinity. I don't have a Vive, so I won't have access to it, but I still might check it out. Yeah, Patient Fire. I can't go back to. It's hard for me to go back to flat screen gaming. I will say that, and it is because of what you said right there. That's the biggest reason why I'm not sure if I'm going to buy Death Stranding. It was the least anticipated game, out of the games that we thought were coming out this year. Out of those big 4 games that Sony has coming out, Death Stranding was at the bottom of my list because, out of the 4, it was the least that I was looking forward to. And then I'm so wrapped up in VR that I don't want a situation where I go and buy it and then I'm not able to finish it. So, that's kind of what happened to Days Gone. I played it for a couple of days and then jumped right back into VR. Not to mention, again, Sick Humor. I was watching his streams too, so it was hard to get back into it. But yes, a Game of Thrones experience is coming to Viveport Infinity. Viveport Infinity is basically HTC Vive's version of Game Pass, where you can pay for what's up, Red Ranger? Where you can pay for you pay a subscription fee and you have access to all kinds of games in their library, their exclusives or whatever. So I don't know. I don't have a Vive, but I guess they did. Actually, I will have access to this Game of Thrones VR experience because they are extending Viveport Infinity over to the Oculus Rift. So if you have, even though this was originally intended for Vive owners, if you have a Oculus Rift, you will have access to Viveport Infinity. So with that being said, I will have access to this Game of Thrones VR experience. So I don't know if I'll pay for the subscription, but I'm still curious as to what this experience is like. So, hey, so just throwing that out there for you. That's how much VR is growing, Lunkin. That hey, Red Ranger, isn't Sony and VR so boss? Yeah, Red Ranger might end up getting on this VR train here sooner or later. Anyway, what's good with you, Red Ranger? How you doing? So we got that Game of Thrones. It's coming to VR. It's an experience, so it may not be a full-blown game. I'm telling myself that I'm going to go to. I keep telling myself that I'm going to go binge Game of Thrones this weekend. I've only seen like 6 episodes. I've never seen any episode of The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, all those games, all those shows that were popular. I haven't seen any of them because I was too much of a sports junkie. I was watching sports all the damn time. And then before I discovered VR, whenever I was playing games, I was always playing first-person shooter games or sports games. Now I still love sports. I still love sports games, and I love first-person shooter games. It's just better in VR. That's all. So let's see here. And I think the last bit of news that I've got, you guys have pretty much already got that, is that Five Nights at Freddy's VR seems to be a hit. I have seen tons of Five Nights at Freddy's VR videos everywhere. I mean, we're talking like from the big YouTubers like Nathy. YouTubers that's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers have been streaming Five Nights at Freddy's in VR, and they haven't been doing like 5-minute streams. These guys have been doing like 2-hour streams. Big name dudes, dudes that you would think that they're not that much into gaming. They're just saying what needs to be said so they can get, so they can get the ad money, so they can get the YouTube money, so they can get the sponsorship money, whatever. But you like I said, you have people like Nathy doing like an hour stream of like a Five Nights at Freddy's. Said SOS is fire and TWD is trash. I don't know what those are. I mean, I'm gonna be, when you spell it out for me, I'm gonna be like, duh, but I don't know what that is. But I think Five Nights at Freddy's is a hit. And I think I said it again, my son was looking forward to it. J Dubs, aka Kratos, his kids were looking forward to it. And like I said, it was like if you go into the VR, like if you type in VR on YouTube right now, I would probably say right now, most of the VR videos of as far as game streams goes are going to be Five Nights at Freddy's or Blood and Truth. Those are the two hot things right now. Yeah, I mean, like, with me saying that Five Nights at Freddy's is a hit, Christopher Hart, this is just my personal observation. Because since Five Nights at Freddy's in VR has come out on May 28th, every time I turn on YouTube, you know how they got the suggested videos or recommended videos? There's at least one Five Nights at Freddy's VR stream in there. And like I said, there is a ton of Five Nights at Freddy's in VR streams out there. So bravo that game is doing good. Because again, any game that does good is good for the industry. And with Five Nights at Freddy's VR, I think this is one game that is good that this game was not an exclusive. I understand that Five Nights at Freddy's has a big following, and that's probably one of the reasons why there's so many streams out there for Five Nights at Freddy's. But this is a good thing that this game is not an exclusive. Because I think the success that this game is having is good for the growth of the industry, because I'm willing to bet there might be at least 1 or 2 people that sees one of these Five Nights at Freddy's stream and be like, they're curious about it. And Trover Saves the Universe has gotten a good, I think IGN gave it an 85. Firewall Zero Hour definitely pops up all the time. And I really want to get back to playing Firewall Zero Hour, but I'm really frustrated with the game just like running like a broken piece of trash. It's pissing me off. I almost don't want to touch the game until they fix it. It says Sons of Anarchy. Oh, okay. See, when you put SOS and not SOA. Say if you would have put SOA, then I figured you would have meant Sons of Anarchy, but that threw me off. I'm like, what the hell is SOS? Thomas Hanna said, if you could have one headset, what would it be? Link it in chat. Very good question, Thomas Han. As much as I hate to say it, it would probably be that Valve Index that's coming up next month, because I don't want to pay I don't want to pay $1,000 for that. But I do think that that headset is going to give you the best resolution with superior tracking. These other headsets that have better resolution, like the HP Reverb that has a resolution of 2160, but it only has two cameras, which uses inside out tracking, which means a camera with only, a headset with only two cameras on it. I think the tracking is going to be awful on that game. I do not want to fuck with that. Same thing with the Samsung Odyssey. It only has two cameras. So again, I think those kind of like the HP Reverb, Samsung Odyssey, I think those headsets are only going to be good for games where your hands are in front of you. Anything where you have to reach behind your back, you're going to lose tracking. First person shooter games, you're probably going to lose tracking. So the Valve Index has a resolution of 16, I think 1600. That's not the highest resolution out there, but I think it's the highest resolution with superior tracking because it does have the bases. It does have the light bases, or you can use the light bases from the HTC Vive. And because this is an outside form of tracking, you will have superior tracking. So in a nutshell, the reason why I still feel like the Oculus Rift S is still the best bang for the buck is because you'll get that resolution bump at 1440, and it don't cost a fucking arm and a leg. It's $400. The trade-off is the shit that I mentioned about pulling your hands up to your face when you play first-person shooter games, that you're going to lose some tracking. So again, if you ask me the one headset that I could have, what would it be? It would, even though I don't want to pay that $1,000 for it, it would be the Valve Index. And it looks like these Valve knuckle controllers, I think once they start making more games that support those Valve knuckle controllers, that's just going to further the VR experience. Oh, you said 5 seasons of your life you'll never get back, Jay Swoles. Oh shit. You said Thomas Hand, you said you can buy the Rift original. Shit. You said E55, so Thomas Hand, you must be in the UK then. I mean, because now, like the original Rift, you can go on like eBay and you can probably get the entire setup for as low as $200. Headset, sensors, the Rift touch controllers. Some of them you can get the whole shebang for around $200. I don't know what that translates to in European currency, but that's pretty cheap. Yeah, Scotland. Okay, cool. Then Ian, one of the members of the roundtable, is from Scotland. I think he's here now because he got married a few months ago. I think he got married, I don't know, about 6 months ago or something like that. But he's here now. I think he lives in Wisconsin, but he's Scottish. So that is cool. Scotland in the house. But yeah, even in Scotland, I would like to think that but damn. The question is could you find an Oculus Rift in your region so you can cut down on shipping? Just for the fuck of it, let me take a look at eBay real quick. Because I occasionally pop my head in there and damn, here's an HTC Vive headset. This is just a headset only for $155. on eBay. A Sony PlayStation VR headset, $109. Here's a Vive, the whole setup, the headset, those big ugly ass wand controllers, the light bases, all that shit, $271. Shit, you could have it delivered in the next hour. I take it you got a PC, Thomas Hand. Well, in addition to asking you if you have a PC, Thomas Hand, do you have any kind of PSVR headset? I think I've asked you this before, but I'll ask again. Do you have any kind of VR headset? Okay, you have a PC. How about the PSVR or any kind of VR headset? Do you have any kind of VR headset? You said Ian stateside. No wonder he's cutthroat now. Okay, you have PSVR, so you do experience some sort of VR. And hey, I kind of know your situation. Um, I lived and died by PlayStation VR, but I did want to expand my experience. So you guys had heard me say it for quite a while that I had been wanting to get a gaming PC. And when I first talked about doing it, I had got laid off from the place that I was working at the time. Once I got back on my feet, not that I ever fell off, it's just that once I got laid off, it was like I had to put a freeze on all my money. I can only just pay for the essentials, gas, all the bills and all that shit. I couldn't go splurging. Uh, but once I got things, back on track, eventually I was going to get a PC, and eventually I was going to get an Oculus. I got it. I love it. So it sounds to me like you use it with the Pro. Yeah, I have a PlayStation Pro as well. So it sounds to me like Thomas Hands, like you want to expand your experience and get your hands on an Oculus Rift. With the PS5, the PSVR games are going to shine with better resolutions and specs altogether. Yeah, and I think the GT game is supposed to be rumored to be one of the launch games on the PS5. I do hope it has. I think it's going to be a given that it's going to have some kind of VR support, but it's got to have that VR multiplayer. It's got to. If GT Sport has VR multiplayer, I mean the next iteration of GT7, whatever it's going to be on the PS5, if it has VR multiplayer on it, that's probably all you guys are going to see me doing. You guys are going to see me doing a ton of VR races. Not just me, like all these racing enthusiasts. Your PC has a Ryzen 2700X with a 2080 Founders Edition. God damn, you got more than enough power. I mean, that CyberPower PC that I had a Ryzen 2700X in it, and it had a 2070. It had an RTX 2070. This Alienware that I got, it's got an RTX 2070 as well, but the processor is i5 Intel i5 9600. I wanted to upgrade, but the Alienware PC that I was going to upgrade to had an i7 in it. But like Kratos was telling me, as well as Fatal Sharad, that I was better off sticking with what I got because the i5 Intel i5 processor that my Alienware has, I can overclock it. And there's a couple of settings on it, on the Alienware Command Center. So, but I haven't run into any kind of games where I had frame rate issues that made me feel like I needed to turn the shit up. So I'm good. Once the warranty runs out on this Alienware, then I'm going to start. Then I'll upgrade the parts. So I don't want to do anything to it right now that would void the warranty. I don't want to put another processor in it or any kind of part for that matter. And then, if the PC fucks up, then I can't take it back to Best Buy and make them replace it. So Oh, you told me to. Okay. All right, Thomas Hand. Got you. My bad. Also see that Anthony VR 365 is live as well. Well, I mean, I'm getting ready to wrap this up anyway. Shit, 3 people alive. Porter Rock, Sick, and VR Anthony of VR 365. All 3 of them was live. I was on Steam when we went through the different models. Okay. With that being said, I'll get ready to close shop here in a minute. I appreciate all of you guys sticking here with me. With the other people that I mentioned, it's streaming right now. I see how it would be easier to go over to one of those bigger channels and check out the stream there. So I definitely appreciate those who stuck with me. And my son's taking periodic breaks on Five Nights at Freddy's. He's not doing like he was last week when he was playing Pavlov, where if he took a break, it was only for like 10 minutes. He's taking like hour break or whatever the case may be when he takes breaks from Five Nights at Freddy's. So sometime in there, I'm going to slip in. I think I'm going to jump on and play Everybody's Golf and get 9 holes in. Because I think that 3 under that I had last week, I want to try to beat that score. I want to try to get on the leaderboard. So I'm definitely, planning on playing Everybody's Golf. Hey, I appreciate it, Thomas Hand. Definitely appreciate it. Also, just want to remind everybody next week, tentatively scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern, Gamertag VR will be a guest on the show again. He's had some time with his Oculus Quest, so he's able to come to a final conclusion. And we'll have him on the show next week and ask him what he thinks about the Oculus Quest. What would he like to see? What improvements would he like to see? Is there anything that he disliked about it? Which one does he enjoy more, the Rift or the Quest? Those kinds of questions. So make sure you tuned in. He said he'll be available after 6 BST time, which I guess is British summertime, which is 1 p.m. our time. So I'm not going to say that it's going to happen at 1 p.m. sharp. I'm just going to say that it's going to happen after 1 p.m. So somewhere around that general time frame. Keep your eyes out next week. Appreciate him coming on the show again. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. My son's playing Five Nights at Freddy's right now, so I'm going to take a moment to watch some of these other streams that I just talked about. Pop in there and say what's up to everybody on those streams. Sick, Porter Rock, everybody. And say it looks very impressive for a standalone headset. Okay, cool. There's some things that I did notice about the Oculus Quest, and I really haven't dedicated. Thanks, Christopher Hart. I haven't really dedicated a full podcast to talk about some of the things from people's videos that I've seen of the Oculus Quest. I've talked about little tidbits here and there, but I'll get into it a little bit more next week when we have Gamertag on as a guest, because who better to get the information from somebody that has one. So I also want to try to get Xbox Vidiot. I want to try to get him on the show because he has an Oculus Rift S. He gave his thoughts on it. And I'll keep those to myself until I can get him on the show. So I will be in contact with him to ask him to come on the show again. So with that being said, give it a like, comment, share, all that good stuff. You said peace, Lincoln Jr. in chat. All right. Appreciate it, Thomas Hand. Thanks everybody for dropping by again. Give it a like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And that's going to wrap it up. Keep an eye out later on when I play Everybody's Golf. And I will talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good one.